bitch! Nick, what are you doing? I'm NFC East hunting. Prior to yesterday, the whole entire division was pronounced dead months ago. And all of a sudden, yesterday, we've seen that they're very well still alive, and actually, they can still play football somewhat. The San Francisco 49ers are just maybe not as good as we thought they were. Phillip Rivers needs to retire. The Titans absolutely break my heart, and a very important game. The Pittsburgh Steelers can't get anything done against the Bills' defense. We're going to talk about this and so much more right here on the NFL Week 15 review. I still can't find them. I'm looking for them. Patriots still suck, by the way. Let's talk about it. Folks, it is time to talk about Week 15 of the NFL season, which has come and gone, and with one final... We're going to go through every game like we always do right here. Yesterday was very interesting in the NFL because I feel like every game had some significant impact. Not so much an impact, but a thing to talk about. There's not really one game on here, I don't think, that has nothing to talk about. There's either a top player performance, which I always go over, and some playoff implication, and a player doing something crazy or out of the ordinary. The first game to talk about is the Jets and Ravens on Thursday night. And this game went exactly as most people thought, but the Jets, which I predicted, did better than people thought they were. Were they going to win the game? No, sir. No, sir. Lamar had 212 yards, 5 touchdowns. Rushed for 86 yards. Crowder on the Jets had 6 receptions for 90 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Ravens beat the brakes off of the Jets 42-21, and they continue to roll through every single team that stands in their way, and that is why they are the most dangerous team in the AFC. The Jets, losers of this, will also have a potential to play spoiler to the Steelers next week, playing them at home, I believe, and the Steelers need to win after, I will get to that game later in the review, after losing yesterday to the Buffalo Bills. We've seen all of this from Lamar Jackson and then some. This does not surprise me, and it damn sure doesn't surprise you. The Jets lose, Ravens dominate, and the week keeps progressing forward. Patriots, Bengals. Now, there was a lot of controversy heading to this game. Obviously, we're going to talk about the leaked footage and the Patriots cheating to beat the Bengals in this game. I don't think any team should ever have to attempt to cheat. If you have to cheat to beat a team like the Bengals, you're just not very good. This was an awful day for Andy Dalton, as I probably expected it to be. He had 4 interceptions. But it was a great day for Joe Mixon rushing for Cincinnati, who had 136 yards. Gilmore on the secondary of the Patriots is going to continue beasting like he always does. He had 2 interceptions. Brady threw 2 touchdowns in this game, but he really didn't look so hot. Despite all that, the Patriots still ripped right through the Bengals, 34-13, and they hold sole place of the AFC East, and they cannot blink either because the Buffalo Bills are right behind them. Bengals lose. They're now 1-13, I believe, on the season. That is absolutely terrible. But at least if the Bengals lose out, you can at least say that they won a game, because 1-15 is, I know it sounds terrible, but 1-15 is so much better than 0-16. They're both terrible, but you'd rather have a win than no wins, and the Jets will ever be tarnished if the Bengals do lose out from this point forward. Patriots win. I believe they play the Dolphins next Sunday, and as you can see, the NFL gave them the easiest schedule in the world this season. And again, the offense didn't look that great. Yeah, they had 34 points, but most of them were off of defense. We're going to see what we get going forward from the Patriots. Maybe this will be a spark plug, but Brady and the offense continue to look stagnant, no run game, and that has been a problem for the Patriots. We'll see what happens moving forward. Buccaneers, Lions. Every Sunday, Jameis Winston throws for 400-plus yards, it seems like, and usually about 15 interceptions with that. But surprisingly, this was a better game for Jameis Winston. He had 458 yards and 4 touchdowns. I believe he only had 1 pick. One of his top receivers, Chris Godwin, had 5 receptions for 121 yards. Amendola on the losing side of things had 8 receptions for 102 yards for the Lions. And the Buccaneers continue to show you that they have absolutely no problem putting up points. They rip right through the Lions, 38-17. If there's one thing the Lions miss, it's Matthew Stafford. Now, even with Matthew Stafford, they weren't that great, but they were much better than they're playing now. Continue to show you why they are one of the worst teams in the NFL, despite some bright spots throughout the team. The Buccaneers can put up points, and they have an okay defense, but Jameis Winston will not win you anything. The second, if they're not going to make the playoffs, but let's just say, for example, that the Buccaneers had a chance to make the playoffs. Jameis Winston would go into that first game, throw for 500 yards and 4 interceptions, and the team would lose. Jameis Winston is a very inconsistent and unreliable quarterback who is just too wild and just too all over the place. And that has shown for so many years. Despite all that, they dominate right through the lines in this game, 38-17. NFC North matchup. The Green Bay Packers are still fighting for that first seed and holding on to the division as well, as the Minnesota Vikings will not budge. Nothing really impressive on the quarterback side of things. The quarterback side of things. Nothing really impressive on the Green Bay side of things. But, however, Aaron Jones had only 51 yards, but he had 2 touchdowns to go with it. Devontae Adams had 7 receptions for 103 yards. Allen Robinson on the losing side had 7 receptions for 125 yards. This was a very close game. Trubisky had a little bit of trouble, but he threw for more yards. The Packers were to beat the oldest rivalry in football, the Chicago Bears, 21-13, and they continue trudging north, holding on to the division, and I don't think it's going to happen, but trying to trudge toward the first seed in the NFC, which probably won't happen, like I said. But again, this is what we got from this. And, the Bears are not necessarily a team that's going to surprise or do anything to anybody. But Packers, again, keep winning. Again, their wins in recent weeks haven't looked as impressive, I think, as they did in the beginning of the season. And I don't honestly think Aaron Rodgers has looked so elite in recent weeks either. Regardless, yes, the Bears have a good defense, but regardless, the team is still winning. So it's not necessarily how bad you look, but if you're still winning. And again, that kind of goes toward New England. They're still winning, sort of. This is their first win, and had the Patriots not won this game earlier, they would have been losers of 3 straight, which I don't know the last time when that had occurred. Regardless, the Packers win this game. The heartbreaker of the week, if you ask me, is my Titans hosting the Houston Texans in a very important game in the AFC South. Now, whoever were to win this game would take sole possession of the AFC South. Mind you that the Titans and Texans will have to play in 2 weeks as well. That could come down to the division as well. I'm going to probably go over those scenarios in a minute. The Titans were just unlucky in this game. They had a touchdown pulled literally right from them as it bounced away. I don't know who the receiver was. It bounced away from him and right into right into the Texans player's hands, and he ran almost all the way back. Texans were in control early. The Titans were fighting hard, but it was not enough. Deshaun Watson had 243 yards and 2 touchdowns. Carlos Hyde ran well with 104 yards and a touchdown. And DeAndre Hopkins was that nagging, annoying injury, or not annoying injury, that annoying presence for the Houston Texans. 6 receptions, 119 yards. Henry had 86 yards. Now, despite having 86 yards, Derrick Henry was actually rather quiet in this game, it felt like. He kept running up the middle, and he was not getting yards per carry. There weren't too many big plays from Derrick Henry, and the Houston line did a good job of shutting down Derrick Henry for a vast majority of this game. A.J. Brown is a player to talk about, and that is damn right. I've loved what I've seen from A.J. Brown this season, and as the season goes on, he just gets better. He felt like he was open everywhere and making every play. He had 8 receptions for 114 yards and a touchdown. The Titans ignited hard in the second half as their offense was stagnant in the first. The second half, they came out fighting. They came out fighting hard, but mistakes and that, you know what it is too? Ryan Suckup is another thing that we have to talk about, because Ryan Suckup is just not good anymore. He was one of the best kickers in the league prior to his injury, and he hasn't been the same since he got hurt. At least that's what I believe. Ever since he got hurt, he was not the same player that he was, and that's effective. Now, Ryan Suckup missed a field goal in this game that would keep the game a tie, and if the Titans did not get that unlucky bounce in the end zone, they would also have won this game. So I think this game was the Titans to win. We were just unlucky, and again, that's just really how it goes. Now the Titans, Steelers also lost yesterday, so now both teams stand at 8-6. The Texans are 9-5. For the Titans to win the division, the Texans would have to lose out. They would have to lose next week. We would have to win next week, and then we would have to win against them in Week 17. The Texans probably won't lose to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers next Saturday. And the Titans, I'm not quite sure that will beat the Saints. So the favor it's definitely in Houston's favor. Now, if the teams were to tie, Houston would still have it because they have the better division record. So again, this is not really in the favor of the Titans. We're going to see what we get. Our season's not dead yet, but this was a huge game that we really needed to win, and it just did not happen. Upset of the week, which I predicted, was complete jackass opposite. The Broncos were in Kansas City playing the Kansas City Chiefs in a snowy game, and Mahomes may be back, ladies and gentlemen. He had 340 yards and 2 touchdowns. Travis Kelce showing you why he's the best tight end in the league of football. 11 receptions, 142 yards. This was snowy weather. And as you can see, this was Drew Lock's first encounter in the NFL with a snowy weather, with snowy weather and an opposing field as well. And he did absolutely horrible. I believe he was 18 for 40. The Chiefs completely shut down anything on the Denver Broncos side of things, and they got it done in horrible weather. 23-3, the Kansas City Chiefs remain and will be the owners of the AFC West. They are now 10-4 on the season, if I am correct. And the Denver Broncos fall after Drew Lock's impressive sighting. So we'll see what we get from the Broncos going forward. I still have faith in Drew Lock. Again, yesterday's game and the situation that Drew Lock was put in would be very difficult for any quarterback to come out of. 1, the weather was terrible. 2, you were playing in Kansas City. Again, 2 things that are very difficult to do. But again, got to give it to Kansas City. Mahomes didn't look like he was affected too much by the weather. And Kansas City could be starting to get that ball rolling again. New York football. Yes, how about the New York Giants for you Giants fans out there that are still clinging on to something? Well, you won't be getting Chase Young because it looks like he's staying and electing to stay in college. But we'll see what happens there. Eli, 283 yards and 2 touchdowns, which was good, but he threw 3 picks. Barkley is alive. This was, I don't know if I'm correct, this may be Saquon Barkley's first or second 100-plus yard game this year. He had 112 yards and 2 touchdowns. Sterling Shepard, 9 receptions for 111 yards. The Giants dominate the Miami Dolphins 36-20. Now let's talk about something here. I don't know. I didn't watch the game because the Titans were on at 1. So with the Titans being on at 1, I always watch the Titans. I've seen every game this year. One of the things I want to talk about, though, is Eli Manning and why that is, because I'm going to assume that was Eli's last home start, and I think that it should be, because the problem is if you elect to start Eli again at some point, next week I think they play Washington next week. They could win that, but the problem is that after that, they're home in their season finale against the Eagles, and we don't know what the Eagles are going to be playing for, and I think that would be a very poor decision to play Eli Manning again in either of those 2 games. Again, they also did it because they were still resting Daniel Jones, and Daniel Jones is going to be coming back, presumably next week against the Redskins, I believe. Again, someone could correct me if I am wrong there, but again, he threw 3 picks, so it's kind of tainted a little bit. But Eli going out on top, and I think that this is the way that it needs to be. Again, Eli Manning, someone who's done so much for the Giants franchise. This has got to be the way that he goes out. Maybe not a random Sunday late in the season against the Miami Dolphins, but they still dominated and they still beat the Dolphins. No top performance for the Dolphins to really talk about, and this is that. So, the next game is an NFC East matchup, and as you saw in my intro, the NFC East is alive, and this is why. Carson Wentz looked great yesterday. He had 266 yards and 3 touchdowns. Miles Sanders ran the ball well, 122 yards and 2 touchdowns. However, we also got Dwayne Haskins, maybe with his best start yet, 261 yards and 2 touchdowns. McLaren was a good receiver for the Washington Redskins, 5 receptions, 130 yards and a touchdown. The Philadelphia Eagles put up 37. And I'm going to give some credit where it's due. The Redskins, Dwayne Haskins could be looking good if they continue to build on this with Dwayne Haskins in the Washington Redskins uniform. Eagles beat the Redskins 37-27. And again, all of the people in the tri-state area, me being from New Jersey, all of the Eagles fans and obnoxious Cowboys fans are going to be going to war next Sunday in what will probably be the division championship of the NFC East, because I'm predicting that whoever wins that game when I do my Week 16 predictions, whoever wins that game will win the NFC East next week. Good showing for the Eagles. Let's see what happens going forward. Seahawks, Panthers. Didn't care about this game before, didn't think it had anything to offer, and the Panthers actually were getting dominated, and they almost somewhat came back. Russell Wilson looked great, 286 yards and 2 touchdowns. Carson runs well, 133 yards and 2 touchdowns. Tyler Lockett, 8 receptions for 120 yards and a touchdown. Panthers, however, did have some names. McCaffrey had 87 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. And DJ Moore, who has been a silent performer for NFL wide receivers this year, 8 receptions, 113 yards. Seattle Seahawks, 30-24 over the Panthers. They also clinched the playoffs in this game. Seattle Seahawks, nice seeing them bounce back after the tough loss to the LA Rams last week. And the LA Rams, well, they're going to be fun to talk about in a minute because the LA Rams got the shit kicked out of them yesterday. Next game. I didn't care about this game. The 4 o'clock games yesterday were just absolutely boring. I didn't watch any 4 o'clock games, and this is probably why. Because the first one I saw on the list was Jaguars-Raiders. Two teams that have nothing to play for. The Raiders are pretty much, I think after yesterday, definitely have no playoff shot. The Jaguars are going to Oakland to play the final game. This was important. The final game in Oakland for the Raiders, and they were sent home unhappy. Minshew started this game. He had 201 yards and 2 touchdowns. Darren Waller was a top performer on the Oakland side of things with 8 receptions and 122 yards. Could you imagine your final game against the Jacksonville Jaguars at home and you lose? So imagine Minshew coming in and the Oakland Raiders give absolutely nothing in their final game at home in Oakland. That's quite the send-off. The Jaguars spoil their send-off. The Raiders are pretty much done. I don't think there's any possible way that they could make the playoffs. The Jaguars win. The Jaguars still suck, and I thought that they're overrated from the beginning. Browns-Cardinals. A battle of two young quarterbacks in the league. Mayfield didn't do too bad. He had 247 yards and 2 touchdowns. Chubb continues to run well, which he's done all season. 127 yards and a touchdown. Kyler Murray had 219 yards and a touchdown. This was a huge day, though. Maybe the NFL's top performer of the week, Kenyon Drake. 137 yards and 4 touchdowns rushing. The Cardinals beat the brakes off of the Cleveland Browns, 38-24. And again, a huge reason why was because Kenyon Drake was so dominant running the ball for Arizona in this game as well. The Browns are just such a mystery. They play a couple games great in a row, and then this happens. So, I'm very interested to see what the Arizona Cardinals do in the offseason because I want to see what this team could bring potentially in the future because I think that the Cardinals could have a very bright future, especially with Kyler Murray. And I just feel like they're a team that if they build right, they could head in the right direction. But again, that's that. Vikings-Chargers. Vikings still owners of the NFC wildcard spot, and that would stay that way. Kirk Cousins, 207 yards and a touchdown. Boone, 56 yards and 2 touchdowns running the ball. For Minnesota, I believe Dalvin Cook did not play this game, perhaps. Rivers threw 3 picks and combined 7 turnovers for the LA Chargers. Keenan Allen, though, was a top receiver for the LA Chargers, 9 receptions and 99 yards. Phillip Rivers needs to retire. I love Phillip Rivers. I think he'll be a Hall of Famer. The Vikings, by the way, the Vikings blew them out in this game. 39-10, the Vikings destroy the Chargers. There's nothing. If Phillip Rivers was ever going to win a ring, it would have happened in, I want to say, was it the AFC Championship or the AFC Divisional Round 2 years ago when they played the New England Patriots and they got absolutely obliterated by New England? It's not going to happen, and that's what's unfortunate because someone like Phillip Rivers he's probably the top quarterback in the NFL right now that doesn't have a ring. Again, it's not going to happen. The Vikings hold on to that NFC spot, and they're going to keep fighting and keep trudging. Because right now, I don't really know if there's another team that is going to take that NFC spot from them, because that's the way that it's looking. The most obnoxious fan base in football is the Dallas Cowboys, and unfortunately, we're going to be victims this week of all of them. The Cowboys beat the living hell out of the LA Rams. Dak Prescott had 212 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Cowboys had a dual run threat in this game. Tony Pollard had 131 yards and a touchdown. Ezekiel Elliott had 117 yards and 2 touchdowns. On the losing side of things, Tyler Higbee had 12 receptions and 111 yards, and the Cowboys ripped the hearts out of the LA Rams, who were trudging towards a potential AFC wildcard spot, 44-21. The Cowboys will have to build on this, and if they do it again next week, maybe there'll be some hope for this Cowboys team, because realistically, they're the best team, without question, in the NFC East. And honestly, though, the Eagles could be building momentum as well. So it's really going to be interesting to see who comes out of this NFC East. Final games to talk about here, folks. And this one was an upset. The Falcons at the 49ers. The 49ers are showing you now that they are vulnerable. The Falcons' final second reversal stuns. Jimmy G has 200 yards and a touchdown. George Kittle is a mini Gronkowski, 13 receptions, 134 yards. Matt Ryan had 210 yards and 2 touchdowns. It was a big day for Julio Jones. 13 receptions, 134 yards and 2 touchdowns. A final second reversal play gives the Falcons a chance to score in the end zone, which they do. The Falcons stun the 49ers 29-22. the 49ers drop a spot, and I believe now they are still tied with the Seattle Seahawks for the NFC West lead. Hardest division to win in football, hardest division overall. Falcons stun the 49ers, and that is one that is going to sting a little bit because the 49ers and Seahawks need to win every single game that they possibly can towards the end of the season. Final game of your Sunday was the Bills going to Steelers. The Steelers are current owners of the AFC wild card, and they were hosting the Buffalo Bills. The Steelers crowd is so loud. I got to give credit where it's due. They have such a great fan base. It's just unbelievable how the Steelers defense has just, their pass rush and just everything has just been unbelievable towards the second half of the season. Josh Allen didn't look too great. He had 139 yards and a touchdown, but that was really all he needed. John Brown, also, 7 receptions, 99 yards. Not too many top receivers to talk about for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Bills' defense holds down the Steelers. Hodges makes a lot of mistakes, 4 interceptions. 17-10, the Buffalo Bills keep trudging. They have clinched a playoff berth with their win. The Pittsburgh Steelers drop one. However, they still hold the wild card because the Titans also lost. Titans and Steelers both 8-6. Titans are dangerously close to that wild card if they do not win the division, which looks very unlikely right now. Final game of the week is tonight, and that is the Colts and the Saints. Saints are trying to trudge toward that first seed, and the Colts are just trying to play spoiler. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. The NFL is getting so vastly interesting, and there's so much to talk about moving forward.